She was a prostitute in a doomed city, but ended up in the family line of Jesus. The woman in today's story teaches us that God isn't looking for a perfect past. He is looking for a present faith. My name is Lydia Robertson, and today, as we continue our series, Faith at the Finish Line, we're diving into the story of Rahab. If you know anything about Rahab, you know that she didn't exactly start strong. Scripture introduces us to Rahab in Joshua chapter 2. For some context to the story, some Israelite men were sent to Jericho as spies. At this time, Jericho is a nation that is hostile towards God, and the Israelites were not welcome there, as they were God's chosen people. Joshua 2 verse 1 says, "And they went and came into the house of a prostitute whose name was Rahab, and lodged there." We meet Rahab with a simple sentence, but in all honesty, it isn't a great introduction. A prostitute living in the city of Jericho, far from the people of God. But in Rahab's story, we will quickly see that perseverance, not perfection, is what marks a strong finish. When two Israelite spies came to scout out Jericho, Rahab hid them from the king's men. She protected them. She took an enormous personal risk as she lied to authorities about having the spies in her home. Why was she taking such a big risk? Because Rahab had heard about the God of Israel. She told the spies, "For the Lord your God, he is God in the heavens above and on the earth beneath." She believed. She hadn't seen God's miracles firsthand, but she had heard of them, and she responded with faith and courage. Not only did she believe in God's power, she also acted in that faith as she took great risks. She was risking her own life as well as the lives of her family members, as she chose to trust that God's power and protection would save her. Rather than living in fear, she chose faith in God. As we will see, God honored that faith in incredible ways. And here's what's amazing. Rahab wasn't forgotten. Her faith saved her life, yet her story didn't end with that one act of bravery. Rahab is mentioned in Hebrews chapter 11 in a long list of people who lived by faith. Verse 31 says, "By faith, Rahab the prostitute did not perish with those who were disobedient, because she had given a friendly welcome to the spies." We read about Rahab again in James 2:25, which says, "And in the same way, was not also Rahab the prostitute justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them out by another way?" Rahab wasn't just someone who believed. She acted on her faith, even during a moment where fear could have taken full control of her. Her faith led to transformation. When Jericho fell, Rahab's household was spared. She joined the people of Israel, and later we learn that she becomes the great-great-grandmother of King David and part of the family line of Jesus himself. And just this quick note, even though Rahab had a new identity in God's family, Hebrews and James mentions her by her old profession, a prostitute, to remind us all about our transformation, thanks to God's grace received through faith. Rahab's story reminds us that God honors faith even from the most unlikely people, and even after a very messy past. She didn't let shame or fear stop her, but instead chose faithfulness and was richly blessed because of that. So, let me ask you, what does finishing strong look like for you? What does it mean to choose faith over fear? Maybe you feel like you've stumbled too much. Maybe your past feels like a label that you can't get away from. Or maybe you're just tired and near the end of a long, difficult season of life. We can practice this faith with a simple conversation with God. I want to challenge us today to identify the things in our lives that are causing fear. Bring them to God. He cares. As you surrender those things over to Him, not only are you surrendering your fears, but you are growing deeper in your faith. Rahab might tell you your story isn't over. Finishing strong doesn't require a flawless record. It requires faith. God's story for our lives is so much greater than we can imagine. He loves us so deeply that all it takes is one small act of faith, and He can transform our lives in beautiful ways. I invite you to join me tomorrow as we talk about the story of Gideon and his unlikely victory that quickly turned to vanity. See you then.